Have you ever heard your child say, I totally understood what I learned in class, but I just blanked on the test? And it's not because they were not paying attention, it's because learning is not the same thing as mastering. And if we don't close that gap, especially in high school, the consequences show up in GPA, confidence, and eventually college admissions. So, this is going to be parents' guide to building academic skill for their child, from passive learning to real mastery. So, I'll give you this scenario. Let's say this is a car and you're driving in this car and your child is sitting on the back seat. Now, you drive the same route with your child every week, and your kid could probably describe the landmarks blindfolded as you go through this route. But once you hand them the keys and tell them to drive, they're probably going to get lost at the first turn. And the reason is because they have been observing. And observation is not experience, the experiential learning that leads to mastery. So, going back to the classroom setting, sitting through lectures, sitting in class and nodding in agreement is not the same as retrieving the information, solving the problem, and applying it under pressure. So I'm going to go over this misconception about understanding. So when students say, I understand everything, I just don't do well on tests, what they often mean is, I've seen the material and I've followed along, but I've never had to prove that I could do it myself. It's like saying, oh, I'm a great swimmer, just don't throw me in the deep end. All right, so this is why students who take multiple versions of the same class, whether it's the school classroom, to tutoring, to test prep, reviews, the students still panic when they face problems alone at the actual test because they've never had to actually drive the car. So this is what real mastery looks like. Real mastery is not reading the solution. Real mastery is problem solving without help. So when your teen says they got it after reading the explanation, then ask, can you solve on your own? In silence, under pressure. Pressure meaning time pressure. If not, then it's time to shift gears. Because true academic growth happens when students struggle alone and then solve it alone. This might sound very harsh. I know, it's uncomfortable. It's frustrating. But it's exactly where skill is built, through discomfort, through frustration, through struggle. And once they get to this epiphany of solving the problem, that's when they get closer to that mastery. So, practical tips for parents that I'm going to give out. First is create test zone practice sessions. So, practice as if they're taking the real test. So, no notes, hints, with time challenges. All right. And don't reward review time. Don't reward them for spending 2-3 hours reviewing. You must reward correct answers that they solved independently. All right. Now, when it comes to tutoring, tutoring is meant to supplement. Tutoring as supplement, not as crutch. You can't just rely on tutoring. Your student must be able to grasp concepts on their own and then get the professional help from a tutor to hone in on their skill, to help them solve more effectively, to get them closer to that mastery level as quick as possible. Next is to use textbooks, not just prep books, to deepen understanding. Now, in this journey, they're gonna get some answers wrong, and your job is to celebrate those wrong answers when your child catches and fixes them on their own. Now, why does this matter for college admissions? Well, colleges don't admit kids based on how many tutoring hours they logged. The colleges admit the ones who can take on hard things, who can problem solve independently. So to be problem solvers, they need self-reliance, self-correction, knowing when admitting that they're wrong, and they need to find ways to fix the problem, and resilience. And good news is that these are trainable skills, trainable personality traits. And these traits show up not just in GPA alone, but in essays, recommendations, and the quiet confidence that says, I failed before and figured it out. So they embrace the failure. And in this case, failure is not really failure because it's just a lesson for them. It's just a lesson that tells them, oh, this is not the right way to go about solving this problem. Let's find another way. So if your student is still sitting in this metaphorical backseat, it's time to let them drive. Yes, they will make wrong turns, but once they learn how to course correct, they will never be lost again. So if you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with another parent. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.